Now, what I'd like to raise is the next part of the parsha. There's so much to talk about this parsha. So, how do you choose? So, we choose by discussing a piece from the Daf Yomi. The Daf Yomi tells us about an interpretation of the verses. But first, let me cite the verses from Mashalach, and then we'll go to the Daf Yomi, and we'll try and understand it. It says, "Vayasa Moshe es Yisrael miyam suf." And Moshe caused the children of Israel to journey from the Yam Suf, Vayetzu al Midbar Shur, and they went out to the wilderness of Shur. Vayelchu Shloshes Yamim Bamidbar V'lo Matzu Mayim. They went for 3 days in the wilderness, and they did not find water. Okay, so they traveled for 3 days in the wilderness, and they couldn't find water. Seems like a very innocuous verse. What's going on here? No big deal, right? They traveled 3 days without water, and then they came to Mara and they wanted water to drink. Nothing going on here, right? No. It says hold on one second. Let me open up our Gemara. Hold on one second, and also hold on one second. Hold on. Okay. So the Gemara, today's Daf Yomi is 81, but really on Daf Yomi for 82, which is tomorrow, but we studied it today already. It explains the following. Daf Yomi tells us, Asara Takanot Tikain Ezra. Ezra the scribe instituted 10 reforms. What did Ezra institute? Shekorin b'mincha b'Shabbos. Ezra the scribe instituted that we chant the Torah, that we read the Torah on Shabbos afternoon. V'korin b'sheni v'chamishi. And also Ezra instituted that we read the Torah every Monday and Thursday. Now, it then goes on to list all the other things that Ezra instituted, but we're not going to go through all of them because we're just going to focus on the reading of the Torah on Shabbos Mincha and also Monday and Thursday. So why did he read the Torah on Shabbos afternoon? Why did Ezra say that we have to read the Torah on Shabbos afternoon? Mishum Yoshvei Karanos. Because there were people who sit there in the corners. What are these people? Rashi says, these are Yoshvei Chonios. These are the people who sit in their shops the whole week and they engage in business. And they're not going to get to the minyan to read on Monday and Thursday. So he made an extra reading. Why do we need this extra reading? Because some people, it's not enough. It's not enough just to have Shabbos morning, to have the Torah being read. Your Shabbos experience can't be, I'm just reading the Torah on Shabbos morning, then I'm going to go home, have a big Sabbath meal, drink some schnapps, go to sleep. No, the Torah reading on Shabbos afternoon has to frame our whole day, meaning to say we have to say that the meal is part of the service, not the end of itself, meaning it has to lead us to the service. And so that's why the people who sit in the shops the rest of the week and they're not going to get back, they have to go back to the shul that afternoon and read the Torah again to say that that's the purpose. That's why we're eating. You can't just get there drunk and, drunk on food, drunk on friends, drunk on alcohol. No, you have to go back. You have to frame your whole day. But then why are you reading it on Monday and Thursday? So he says as follows, says the Talmud. Are you reading it on Monday and Thursday? Ezra Tikain, was Ezra the one who instituted that? No. This was already instituted prior to this. The Tanya, as it states in the Brisa, Vayelchu shloshes yamim bamidbar. This is the verse we just read. They walked for 3 days in the wilderness. V'lo matzu mayim. They couldn't find any water. Darshe Rishumos Amru. Those who expound the verses taught, Ein mayim ela Torah. Water here means, when it says they walked for 3 days and they couldn't find water, what is that referring to? That doesn't mean they couldn't find water. It doesn't mean that they were thirsty. It means they went 3 days without Torah. What Torah did they even have to study? Torah is in its deepest meaning here. Torah is spiritual contemplation of life. As it says, Hoi koltza melech when all are thirsty, go to water. They went 3 days without the spiritual introspection and the power of Torah study, without the teachings of the prophets. They went 3 days just going to work, 3 days in a row with just going to work without thinking about Hashem. Kivan shalchut shloshes yamim below Torah. Once they went 3 days without Torah, nilu, they grew weak. Amdu neviim shebeneim. The prophets amongst them stood up. Now, from Maimonides, it's clear that this is Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu. Why is he not here called Moshe Rabbeinu? Why is it just called here the prophets? Rabbi Soloveitchik has a Yortzeit Drasha where he explains that Moshe only became Moshe Rabbeinu. He only became Moses, our teacher, after the giving of the Torah. Up until then, he couldn't have been called Moshe, our teacher. So the prophets stood up. V'tiknuem sheyukorim b'Shabbos. And they established that they would read it on Shabbos. Umafsikin be'echa b'Shabbos. Stop on Sunday. V'korin b'Sheni. Read it on Monday. Mafsikin shlishi revi. Stop on Tuesday and Wednesday. V'korim b'chamishi. Read it on Thursday. Mafsikin erev Shabbos. And stop again on Friday. Kidei shelo yalinu gimel yamim below Torah. They could never be 3 days without Torah. So according to this, it was not Ezra who instituted it, but it was Moshe Rabbeinu in our parsha. So the Jewish people can never go 3 days without Torah. Even before the giving of the Torah at Sinai, it was taught that we can never go 3 days in our life without Torah. So that's the Talmud's question. How could we say Ezra instituted it when it was clearly Moshe Rabbeinu who instituted it? And the Talmud gives a technical answer that Moshe said a person can just read the Torah by himself individually, and Ezra said that we have to read a minimum of 10 verses. So that's the text of the Talmud, but it's the Talmud is begging for a much deeper analysis. Hold on, I see Elaine is trying to
yes, I have a question.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Commentaries point out, wait, so if you have to go 3 days, we could have done it like this. We could have said Sunday, Monday, then read the Torah on Tuesday, then Wednesday, Thursday, read it on Friday. And then, why do we read it on Monday and Thursday? It's still 3 days if we would have read it on Tuesday. You follow that? So, why specifically Monday and Thursday? And that goes back to the question that Elaine just asked, because the commentaries explain that there's a special idea that Monday and Thursdays are times of Eit Ratzon. It's the recognition that these are moments where it's especially appropriate time to pray. And that's why on Monday and Thursday we say what's called the long Tachnun prayer. Why we say extra penitential prayers. A lot of people, I think they're making a joke, but it always hurts me a little bit. They say, I don't like the long Tachnun, the extra prayer on Monday and Thursday. Just the opposite. This is our opportunity to really focus our thoughts before Hashem, because this is the time where we're told that on Monday and Thursday is the extra special time to give our prayers before God. And so that's why we also read the Torah. So that's what it says in the Tosfos here. This is what Tosfos writes. Tosfos asks Elaine's question, so to speak. If that's the case, why Tosfos says, did they institute it? Why did they institute it that we read it on Monday and Thursday? Why not Tuesday and Friday, or even Tuesday and Thursday? Yesh Lomar, we can answer Mishum de Amr be Midrash. It says in the Midrash, this is the Midrash Tanchuma. Moshe Rabbeinu, Olav Hashem, Olav b'chamishi l'kabel luchos achronos. Moshe went up on Thursday to receive the second set of tablets, and he went down from the mountains on Monday. And God forgave him on that day, because that Monday, which was also Yom Kippur, was an Eit Ratzon, was a recognition that this was the time of God's mercy. And so therefore they established that Monday and Thursday. And therefore Tosfos writes that this became the custom to fast on Monday and Thursday. And now is the time where people fast Bahab. Anybody here grow up with somebody fasting Bahab, that they fasted every Monday and Thursday? So Elaine is raising her hand. Yeah, it's a custom that's today. I don't know anybody who really does it, because in the circles I travel in, I don't see people, we're so focused on food that we don't fast anymore as a way of coming closer to God. But many people used to fast Bahab, and this would be fasting every Monday and Thursday because of this idea that this was a time of an Eit Ratzon before God. And even though he went up at dawn, it says he shall go up in the morning, nevertheless, that's not as, it's not, the whole day is a time of Eit Ratzon. It's not just the morning, Tosfos says. So, anyway, Tosfos goes through the whole, in this Tosfos, he goes through the whole chronology, which is also found in Rashi on the Torah, about how Moshe went up on the Thursday and he came down on the Monday. But this is the powerful idea of why we don't go 3 days without Torah. And that's because our whole existence is dependent upon the Torah study. Our whole existence is dependent upon our relationship with the Torah. And that is what transforms us from being just mere creatures or animalistic creatures into creatures with a purpose of serving Hashem. And so that's the idea. Now, there's another concept in the Talmud. It is a very, very common concept. And this is the concept that's called a chazakah, that you establish a presumptive status, that once you do something 3 times, that defines who you are. So if we would go 3 days without Torah, then we would be defined as people without Torah in our life. It can't be. It can't be that we be defined as people without Torah. So that's another idea here. And I want to quote another, just a teaching of the Gaon Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky, a great 20th century scholar. And he writes as follows. It says that after 3 days without Torah, they came to Marasa. Marasa is from the word bitterness, and the water there was bitter. So it says the Gaon Rabbi Cheskel Abramsky, sometimes it happens that a person who's studying comes to a place of bitterness, and they're unable to drink the water because it's bitter. That's what the verse says. And what's the water? It's Torah. They can't drink the water and they can't benefit from the water of Torah because they're bitter and they don't feel the sweetness of Torah. And so then Hashem showed Moshe a tree. Hashem Yisbarach gives the Torah. Hashem Yisbarach, who gives the Torah, gives us counsel, gave Moshe Rabbeinu counsel. And he said, throw this tree into the water and sweeten the water. That when a person throws himself completely into the waters of Torah, and he learns with concentration, and he is able to use the Torah to take him beyond this world, then he throws himself into the water. Then the waters become sweet. And then the waters will enter into his mouth. Torah has the ability. This is what I really want to share with you over and over again. Torah has the ability to give us meaning in our life and to take us above this world, to transform us from a place of Rahman al bitterness to a place of sweetness. The Torah has that ability. If we latch ourselves onto the Torah, that's what we're capable of achieving. That's what I wanted to share with everybody today. And I'll take some questions now if anybody has any questions.